Hey guys, Zangetsu 134 here, bringing you another Kamen Rider Build, episode 31 review. So tomorrow, guys, you'll also be getting, just a quick heads up, you're gonna get a My Hero Academia review. I've been meaning to watch it, but I just haven't had the time over the weekend to do so. But anyway, so, in this episode, after we see more of, Bloodstock using the Pandora's box to, keep changing up the battle between our heroes and Rogue's team. And in doing so, Rogue reveals that the whole time, all the bad things that have happened to Ryuga happened because of Bloodstock wanting to rise his hazard level, including the death of his girlfriend. While this is going on, Sawa and Misora look into the history of Ryuga's past to find out that his mother was actually possibly infected by an alien creature, and has given him alien powers. While this happens, our heroes finally make it to Bloodstock, where Ryuga and the others are soundly defeated, and to protect everyone, Ryuga absorbs the energy of the Pandora's box into his body to further finish the Magma full bottle, letting himself transform into Cross-z Magma, where he soundly defeats Bloodstock and takes the Pandora's box. At the very end, we find out that Katsuragi's father, and by extension Sento's father, was also experimenting on Banjo during his childhood youth. So yeah, a lot happened in this episode. My personal favorite part being that Night Rogue Kamen Rider Rogue, actually tells the others about the fact that the Prime Minister of Sato was replaced by Namba Heavy Industries, using Bloodstock's ability, for one. And two, that he wants to prevent Bloodstock from taking over the world because he only wanted to use the Pandora's box to recombine the three countries into Japan again, and he can't do anything because there's a chip in his body that they could use to kill him at any point. So he helps the riders by faking his own defeat. I also really like the battle when we get to the three riders versus Bloodstock, especially when they introduce the idea of clone smashes, which is basically a way to let them reuse the smashes. They're more or less just smash without a human inside of it, and cannot be destroyed unless more or less you just blow them up, because they're not human. They're more or less just sentient gas. You know, like Plankton. You know, he's 1% evil, 99% hot gas. But yeah, no, it was an interesting fight. Especially because Night Rogue has clearly gotten control of the whole fight. I really like the origin for Ryuga that is interjected while it's going on. They do some really great cinematic stuff, like a scene where Sawa is about to put in this flash drive into her computer, and instead of seeing it slot in, we actually see Sento put the full bottle into the full cannon. And we get some really great fight moments, especially towards the end when all three of them get defeated, and Sento does so to take a hit for Ryuga, and Bloodstock is going to basically strangle him to death. And Ryuga, more or less thinks, I can't move, but Sento created a future for me after I lost everything. Can I really just sit here and watch as my friend dies and not do anything? And Ryuga refuses to, which causes his hazard level to raise, and Stark tries to hit him with a blast of energy from the Pandora's box, and instead of it killing him, he instead redirects it into the black full bottle that was left over as a result of the destroyed dragon's glass jelly, which is then reborn as the magma full bottle, which we get a really awesome fight scene. For one, I already really like the Cross-z Magma look of being like magma with little bits of hardened rock in the shape of dragons. We also get a really neat way at Henshin's, that of this big tumbler full of like molten like steel that falls onto Ryuga and then forms these lava dragons that harden into rock, and then the tumbler that it comes out of shatters the mold, revealing Cross-z Magma. I want to say that's kind of way certain like ores and stuff are formed, by basically superheating like the chemicals or minerals you need, and then pouring it out into something that'll cause it to instantly cool, and it'll form like different formations as it cools. But then you basically like crack the mold, and something will be formed out of it. I think this is also how geodes are formed, more or less. Like, they're superheated, and the inside basically crystallizes while the outside forms burnt rock. But if you crack it open, inside will be like this shimmering crystal. And I also really like how whenever he does finishers, like the lava dragons appear and like not only protect him while he charges up, but like merge into his leg to deliver, so that he can power up to deliver the blow. There does seem to be a side effect whenever he does a finisher. It really heats up his body to the point of like, I don't know if it's like bad or anything, but he did say he was like burning up at one point. But yeah, I really like his fight. I like seeing him rescue everyone to have a really great moment of heroism. It's a shame next episode we're probably going to see him get all mopey again. But I really liked seeing Ryuga decide that he wasn't going to let anyone else die. And it wasn't it was clearly not because of his own rage that his rage at his girlfriend's death that allowed him to become Kamen Rider Cross-z Magma. It was his feeling of not wanting to let anyone else die again. It was clearly his feelings of wanting to protect people as a rider, as a Kamen Rider, instead of his own anger and hatred. Which I like, because it's always nice when, especially because it's how he became Kamen Rider Cross, was that he had to, fight for justice, and that was something that was, I mean, granted, forced on him by Sento, but it's clearly shown that that's how he's reshaped his thinking. And that's how a Kamen Rider should be, is that they don't fight for their own self-gain. Because that usually, and not only that, even if it does work, it usually causes the person to lose control of themselves as a rider. But clearly that was not the case here. But really, I think the biggest plot points is actually the origin story for Banjo that Sawa and Misora read. For one, we see the fact that his parents were actually members of the Sawa, or the Namba Heavy Industries Synthetic Institute, aka the place where the Pandora's box was hidden was kept for its early days, and I think was hidden on a couple of other occasions by other characters. Because I want to say that's where Cross and Build broke into at one point, disguised as workers. But I don't remember much. I just remember that they fought there, and I think that was where they talked about how their gloves make it hard to press number pads. Oh yeah. And so we find out that during this time they actually sent a probe into space, and that probe was a exploration rover, which they brought back from Mars, which I find weird because we have multiple exploration probes up on Mars, and all of them have eventually stopped moving because they eventually okay, well, how we do the exploration rovers is that once they're up into space, we send radio signals to them, usually I think by bouncing them off the sun, so that they'll hit Mars when we're out of alignment or something like that. It's weird because there's a huge delay between us sending it messages and it not only take fulfilling them but also carrying them out. Not only that, they're not really designed to return from once they've gone on there, because eventually they'll get out of the way of the signal and be useless to us. But we'll forgive it and say that Japan did. And not only that, this was 23 years before the events of the show, which it's 2018 now. That's late 80s. I don't get me wrong. I totally believe we sent explorers and stuff to Mars at that time, but because I'm 28 now. I don't know. Maybe that was 28 years ago. Was this? So no, it was early 90s. But I mean, still, that was when we were just starting to explore Mars. But yeah. And so the exploration rover was brought back, and a lot of this is granted Sawa's own theories, but it makes sense since we never saw, or since we have no real way of knowing, but it's pretty obvious given what we know of Ryuga, that his mother, who was a security guard, apparently her husband was a scientist or something, and she had already been a month pregnant with Ryuga at this point. But basically, an organism, more or less, what allows him to be Cross-z Magma. And more than likely, what's inside both Misora as Queen Vernage and whatever it is that makes Bloodstock possible, crawled off of the rover and clearly infected his mother, but instead of it turning her into a human Martian hybrid, it went into Banjo, which allowed him to be born after 2 months of gestation, which is impossible, but he was born healthy and then was submitted to experiments by, I'm just going to say Sento's father, since him and Katsuragi are technically the same person in certain ways. But anyway, more or less, Sento's father experimented on him to figure out what exactly he was, which in a lot of ways could explain why Katsuragi created Faust in the first place. But that's just speculation on my part, because it ended with us finding out that Sento's father experimented on Ryuga, which that's just classic writing right there. That they knew each other even before they knew each other. Oh, pardon me. But yeah, and so more or less, we got a lot of backstory on the origin of Ryuga, and I thought it was very interesting, especially the fact that Ryuga doesn't remember the experiments on himself. But that might be because the Namba Heavy Industries use some sort of brainwashing to make him forget, or because he was little enough he just doesn't remember a lot of it. And so yeah, I definitely think that while the fighting and the revelation or the introduction of Cross-z Magma was really cool and a great moment for the show, I actually kind of like the backstory more for Ryuga in this. Granted, we'll see much more of Cross-z Magma as the show progresses, Um, Especially looking forward to when he'll take the knuckle off and use it as a weapon. I also like the fact that the magma knuckle also has the voice of the Splash driver, so that it meshes with the Bill driver. It was kind of interesting. But yeah, this was actually a really good episode. I really like the fact that they meshed the talks of Ryuga's birth and why he is the way he is, interwoven with the debut of Cross-z Magma. We got some great character moments. Points to Kamen Rider Rogue for his really great moments. But yeah, no, it was a really good episode. I'm looking forward to the next episode, especially what will happen now that the heroes have the Pandora's box back in their possession. And I'm curious to see what'll happen. But I think that's it for this episode, guys. Like I said, tomorrow's going to be the My Hero Academia vlog. And we'll see what happens after that. So this is Zangetsu 134, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, guys, take care.